Hello, everybody. Today we're going to wrap up our class, American Cultures class, with the end of the 1800s, getting ready to launch ourselves into the 1900s. We've been through a terrible civil war. We've made an attempt at Reconstruction. After Reconstruction in the late 1800s, there's lots of interesting stuff going on. Cattle drives, the Second Industrial Revolution, the Transcontinental Railroad spanning the country and binding the nation by rail. There's lots of new inventions, all kinds of things, and a World's Fair is meant to show off all that sort of stuff to the world. We're going to spend a little time today with the Chicago World's Fair. We're going to compare that to the most modern, most recent World's Fair that has taken place in Dubai. And you'll think a little bit about what kind of things in our generation should be included in an event like a World's Fair. What is it that's showing us how to launch ourselves into the future? Well, let's talk about the Chicago World's Fair in 1893 first. It was known as the Columbian Exposition, meant to celebrate the 400th anniversary of Christopher Columbus arriving in the New World in 1492. Well, those are controversial things these days, but they weren't really that controversial in the 1890s. The scene you're seeing here in the picture is a image of what was known as the White City in Chicago. And look at all these people just waiting to get in, where they've got this entirely man-made world that's going to show off all the great new inventions of America and all the other countries who want to participate as well. The anticipation is that millions of people will come see this. Railroad being a cool thing in Chicago, you can ship people from wherever in the country to come see this exposition. Let me show you some of the new inventions demonstrated at the 1893 Chicago World's Fair. First of all, the Pledge of Allegiance was used for the first time, recited for the first time. I mean, that's a standard in schools today. Look at the way the kids have their arms. Does that look like something that we don't do anymore? Yes, it does look like the Nazi Hitler salute in the 1940s. Well, in 1893, nobody knows anything about Hitler or any of that yet. We changed the way we salute the flag by putting our hand over our heart once Nazi Germany began using this kind of symbolism to pledge the flag. Chicago gets a nickname as the Windy City. Windy City because of all the advertising coming out of Chicago to attract people to the fair. Not so much to the fact that the wind blows a lot in Chicago. Windy City really comes from advertising and New York City going, wow, there's a lot of wind coming out of those places. Cream of wheat cereal, which maybe you've had at some point in your life, is brand new. Shredded wheat cereal. Quaker oats. That's probably something that maybe more of you have had. Brownies. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, brownies for the first time ever displayed in recipes. And, people can buy brownies at the fair. And, well, now they are world famous. Hershey's chocolate for the first time exhibited at a World's Fair for sale around the world. Milton Hershey had been doing just caramel or caramels or whatever you call them. I call them caramels. No, caramel candy. Hershey, he has gone into the chocolate business, and of course, that's what's going to make his fortune. You're going to go to Hershey Park next week, many of you, maybe all of you, and, well, you can see the product, Hershey chocolate. Wrigley's Juicy Fruit Gum is exhibited for the first time, sold for the first time. Wrigley's building is still in Chicago. In fact, the Chicago Cubs play at Wrigley Stadium. Peanut butter. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, something as simple to you and I as peanut butter, first made public at the Chicago World's Fair. Those little Vienna sausages, those little tiny sausages exhibited, marketed for the first time. Cracker Jack candy, where often as a little toy surprise inside, is on display for the first time ever. An automatic dishwasher. Do you have a dishwasher at your house? Or is your dishwasher on the end of your arms at your own hands? Well, automatic dishwashers for the first time on display for sale in Chicago, 1893. There you go. There's some of the White City lit up at night. That's why it was really called the White City, not only because many of the buildings were white, but because electricity lights it up. We've found newer and safer ways to use electricity, and that's a really great advance in world history, world culture. A moving walkway. It's a lot of walking to do at the fair. I don't know if you can see in these pictures, little chairs. that can ride you. You can get on, it can ride you down to the end, kind of the beginning of an elevator or escalator, or maybe even in a airport where you might stand on the moving sidewalk, and it takes you places faster than you can get there on your own. The zipper. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, a zipper, first time on display, things that are so common to us today. And finally, you may have mentioned this in class last week, but the Chicago World's Fair wants to outdo the previous World Exposition, which had been held in Paris. In Paris, they unveil the Eiffel Tower, a big, beautiful work of art. People can go up the tower, you can have a view of all of Paris. And the people in Chicago want to outdo Eiffel. They want to out Eiffel Eiffel. So they wanted to come up with an iron sculpture that's not only beautiful in design, but does something. The Eiffel Tower is great, but it just stands there. It doesn't do anything. A Ferris wheel actually moves. You can get in a car, you can ride it, you can see the city from up in the air. For goodness, Ferris wheels are probably a standard at every amusement park, carnival, and whatever else these days. Those are some new inventions and new displays, new products on sale or on display at the Chicago World's Fair. These are kind of launching us into the new century. Today, you're going to watch a couple of videos. Let's hope the technology works, because you know that's a little sketchy these days, about the Chicago World's Fair. One is about the fire that burned down Chicago in the 1870s, a terrible tragedy, but it does give the city a chance to reinvent itself. And really, the Columbian.Exposition, that video you're going to watch, is a little goofy, but it shows you that Chicago has had a chance to rebuild itself and now can remarket itself to the world. You'll go online to visit the Dubai World's Fair. It's called Dubai 2020, but it wasn't held in 2020 because of COVID. It's actually held mostly in 2021 and 22. And you'll spend some time kind of browsing around that website, looking at what a modern World's Fair is like. And then finally, you'll contribute some thoughts to what are some products that would be maybe of our generation that might be on display at the next World's Fair, things that are great inventions that would be unleashed to the world for the first time. All right, that's what we're doing today. And we'll finish up our semester with launching ourselves into the 1900s.